there is a sense on the ground that the reason why you're doing it, your motivation, is not because you really care that this is affecting a lot of Singaporeans and Malaysians, and it's because you feel that your commercial interests are being affected. That's the sense people have. For example, APP started coming out only after the National Environment Agency of Singapore issued a notice. Now, you were silent before that, right? So I'm giving you an opportunity to explain why did APP choose to come out only when clearly your commercial interests were at stake, right? What's your response to this allegation?
I'm just going to be very honest with you. APP has not been very big in talking to the media with advertisement. We are focusing a lot of our energy and efforts in the last 3 years in trying to improve the way we manage our supply chain. It's forestry and also the plantations. We've been the first pulp and paper companies in Indonesia committed to zero deforestation, and millions and millions of dollars put into that effort. So we're focusing a lot of our budget for that improvement instead of talking to the media and to the public. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. Maybe we should have talked more. Even though the public in Singapore probably only heard that we came out after NEA, but let me tell you, the people on the ground in our supply chains have been working on the ground to prevent this forest fire since months and months ago. We didn't talk much. We tried to prevent it and try to find solutions. And like I said, maybe we should have talked more to show our understanding about what Singaporean people feel and have been feeling until today.
When the green label is removed or suspended by a fairly legitimate country like Singapore, it would have a ripple effect on many other countries as well, right? And some other multinational companies that run chains, supermarket chains, would also think twice about this. Now, in a world that is increasingly environment conscious, this could have a huge commercial and reputational impact on APP.
Correct.
And I put it to you that the perception is that's the real reason why APP is going out of its way to clear your name. Now, you see what I'm driving at?
Yeah.
You see, people are more interested in, are you sincere about this?
Yeah.
Are you doing it because you really care, or are you doing it because you want to show that you care, but when actually you're only caring for yourself, your commercial interests? How would you respond to this?
In order to drive change in forestry or any other supply chain change, there are so many elements in there, and I totally understand the public anger and respect SEC's decision to suspend the green certifications. We fully understand that, and I believe it's probably needed to make the full change on the ground to address haze and forest fires. I don't think any certification standards today actually really look into this risk, on how to manage this risk. It's probably being embedded in other parts of the certification standard, but not really looking into preventing forest fire. So I think what SEC's done woke everybody up, and I think it's
everybody, meaning who?
Everybody, every stakeholders in these issues, in the forestry issue, in Indonesia.
Okay.
And it's one of the actions probably needed to make a real change.
So it suggests to me, what you're saying suggests to me that until now, there wasn't a clear awakening to this problem. And I find that quite disturbing, because you're talking about a problem that has been afflicting us for 20 years. It started as far back as 1972.
Correct.
And then it peaked again in 97, and then in the 2000s, as a Singaporean, as a person living here, I've not been able to play tennis in the past 3 weeks.
Yep.
Many of my friends who run regularly have not been able to do that. You have affected people's lives. And I find it extremely disturbing to hear that for 20 years, you've been sleeping. And then now you feel the awakening because the green label has been suspended. I find that disturbing.
People must understand in Indonesia, slash and burn activity is basically an activity used by community to burn certain land to plant other crops. Is a traditional activity by Indonesians in Kalimantan, in Sumatra and everything else. When it was implemented 100 years ago, there's no problem. But it became a problem when the population went up and economic activity picked up. It became a problem because there's simply not enough land to do that.
There are many players involved, right? There are large corporations like APP, there are smaller companies, and there are small farmers, right? You have the entire ecosystem. And then you've got the government agencies, you've got other semi-government agencies, and so on. You've got communities, right? Now, everybody is involved in this ecosystem,
Yeah.
right? Now, what are the three most important things that needs to be addressed? I would appreciate it if you would be absolutely honest here. What do you think are the three areas that needs to be given a lot more attention if we want to prevent fires?
Well, first, we got to stop burning. We got to stop burning activity for slash and burn. But yes, community use it as a traditional way, so it is our job.
How do you stop it? I mean,
we have to support the government to implement regulations to make it stop.
But what's stopping you from implementing it?
The government is in the process, and we support them. They are in the process to revise the regulations to allow people to burn. But that's not the solutions. Yes, the government can implement the regulations, but our job right now is basically help the government to support the community, provide them with alternatives to develop land to burning. So do not use fire to develop your land. This is the alternative technology. You can develop land without burning by doing this. And I think private sectors, especially us, we can do something to support the community by providing technology or some financing. That's one. So stop the burning.
Is that in the pipeline? Is that going to happen?
I think so. We've been talking to some associations, including the Palm Oil Association.
And cooperatives, right?
And cooperatives. And APP alone, we've also been talking to our NGO partners as well to try to generate finance to support the community to adopt more responsible forest or other plantations practice. Can be providing to alternatives to burning, also providing alternatives to draining peat.
After 20 years, you're doing it now. Why couldn't this have been done much earlier?
I think our job as private sector, we have to support the way the community develop their land. We have limitation in what we can do, even though they're allowed by regulations to develop land while burning in the past. We have been concentrating on providing alternatives to the community.
How much of the total peat land in Indonesia is under APP?
Oof, that's a tough question. Let me see. Total peat land in Indonesia is 20 million hectares. The existing plantation in our supply chain is 1 million hectares, and out of the 1 million hectares, roughly, possibly about 50% is on peat. So 500,000 hectares is on peat.
Okay, so yeah, so
that's just a quick calculation in my head right now.
Well, that would be about 1/40th of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so unless the others in whose concessions you have peat land actually do something, it's not going to make any difference.
Correct, yeah. That's why we've been also trying to...
but as a leader, as a leading conglomerate, what's the role you can play?
We have to engage them. We have to...
Are you doing it?
Yes, we have been doing it. We have not yet shown enough progress, I have to admit, because it's not easy to try to make other people believe in what you believe in. And one thing that I would like to say, Singapore is actually playing a very big role to help us. In addition to the G2G collaborations they've done in the past in Jambi, for example, in addition to that, they can also ask everybody who sell products to Indonesia to be transparent with their supply chain and make sure that their supply chain is responsible.
Sell products out of Indonesia?
No. Everybody who sell products in Singapore need to be committed to transparency and declare where the products are coming from.
Yeah.
They need to do it.
Well, that's why the green label was suspended, because of this, right?
I don't know the green label standard, but the traceability is basically covered by some certification, but it's still voluntarily. I think this methodology should be adopted by Singaporean government, that all companies selling their products in Indonesia and in Singapore, must declare the supply chain.
Singapore government should, I think, have and has come to the end of our tether. Means we've had it, you know.
Yeah.
Now, if the Singapore government doesn't take a firm stand, it's going to incur the anger of Singaporeans, because I think Singaporeans have come to a point where we can't take it anymore, right? Now, this means that companies like APP would be expected to be a lot more transparent in the years ahead, to demonstrate a lot more communication, explanation, open your books, show us what are you prepared to do that? Which brings me to the question, you had a meeting, I think last week, you and your senior management had a meeting with NEA.
Yes, correct.
Right? Maybe you could share with us what were some of the commitments that you made in that meeting?
We made commitment publicly that we will supply the information requested by NEA, and we did. We supplied the informations to NEA according to the deadline, which is the 2nd of October. I think we had constructive discussion with NEA, and they also requested additional information, and we promised to submit it.
Okay.
I believe we're on the right track.
You sound tired when you say that.
Because I cannot speak on behalf of NEA. But I hope we are on the right track.
Is there anything you want to say to Singaporeans and the other people in the region who have been suffering?
We live on one planet, and what happened in Indonesia will affect Indonesia, but also will affect the rest of the people in the planet. And Singapore, as the closest neighbor, of course, will be heavily impacted for whatever happened in Indonesia. So it's very, very sad. I mean, I've seen people in my own country, in Sumatra, my own employees, thousands of employees also suffering, and I can imagine the suffer that has been endured by Singaporeans as well. We got to stop this together, and we have to find solutions to this together. And I hope it can be achieved sooner than later.